Hi everyone, Cog Reviewer here. This time reviewing on the second issue of Superman 78. Now, as you know, much like Batman 89, this one is meant to continue after the events of Superman 1 and 2, and disregarding Superman 3 and 4. And this issue is meant to feature the return of the Richard Donner Lex Luthor, and the cover has both Lex Luthor and Superman shaking hands, with Superman looking strangely. So we see at Cord Industries, Lex Luthor is doing a sort of job interview from his parole officers, and the person who asks saying, "Do you have any cafeteria experiences?" And we see how Lex Luthor doesn't look pleased, and fun fact, Cord Industries is meant to feature Ted Kord, who was meant to be the Blue Beetle. So of course we see Lex Luthor not happy that he's being reduced to cafeteria work and left off in a huff, steals a guy's umbrella, leaves off saying, "Here, driver," and leaves off. And of course goes into his cheap apartment and says, "Blasted cheap wiring. Don't blow a fuse, Luthor. I'm here to brighten your day." And of course we see how Lex Luthor isn't pleased that Superman's shown up, and Superman needs Lex Luthor's help, and knows that he can still do good, but needs to know about a thing called Brainiac. Which he says, "Me help you? Lex Luthor, the keenest criminal genius of our generation. Lex Luthor, the sharpest criminal intellect." His last word was Brainiac. "Don't give me that." It put up a heck of a fight. Yes, I read the planet. So of course, you can tell Superman doesn't want to get disappointed and doesn't want to regret anything from trusting Luthor, which he says he gives him his word. We see Superman flying off, and we see how Lex Luthor opens up a secret compartment, which has his iconic wall suit and a thing presumably Bizarro. So of course, we see back at the planet, Lois Lane is doing some intel on the whole Brainiac thing, and has Clark have some of her food, and we see how Lois doesn't want to kind of give up the story of the century. We see Lois gets a sort of phone call from one of her colleagues who talks about whatever it is, and says, "I have to go. No one can know we talked." So of course, Superman leaves, and we kind of see how he looks up in the sky, and see how Lex Luthor looks into Brainiac's robotic skull thing, and it's sort of leaving off a message to warn people of a Kryptonian among the humans, where it says, "Inhabitants of Earth, the fragile balance of your planet's ecosystem's endangered." And of course, we see Brainiac showing up saying, "I am Brainiac, preserver and cataloger of all life." And of course releases his robotic drones, who shows up to kind of cause chaos, as well as trying to preserve Earth. We see Superman flying saying, "You've got a funny way of saving people, Brainiac." And of course, we see how Superman has to kind of not only deal with Brainiac, but his robotic drones, causing them to crash land, with Superman saying, "You have to do better than that, Brainiac. Obsolete." And of course, we see Lex Luthor getting a cab ride and promising to give the driver a $500 tip, who says, "Downtown coming up. Go get him, Superman!" "Heed me, inhabitants of Earth. Krypton had its time. The short-sighted behavior of its apex species brought upon its own demise." And of course, much like Superman 2, we see how Superman does the kind of iconic shield thing from when he used it on Zod and his henchmen, trapping some of Brainiac's robotic drones. And of course, it tries to kind of take on Superman, and even talks about how he preserved his species' knowledge and that into himself, and he's the last of their species. And we kind of see how Superman becomes overwhelmed, even in threatening to destroy the planet to preserve its life. So we see Superman stopping, and then deciding that he can't really let this happen, and everyone looks on knowing that this is beyond Superman, and him saying, I surrender. And yeah, this is the story. So, issue 2 isn't too bad. I think, unlike Superman 3 and 4, this one is still trying to keep true to what the Bronze Age was, when it was more random adventures and not going too over the top with stories. I think the point with the modern age was meant to have a more serious, more realistic take on the superhero genre, and I think it's kind of interesting to see what we could have gotten had Brainiac showed up in the Richard Donner Superman series. So I think this one definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.